The power of learning from failing. Check it out. Hey guys, KOMK, KOMK. Thanks for checking it out. Today I want to talk about, the power of learning through failing. Okay, sometimes it's hard to fail. Sometimes failing sucks. All right, it just does. It doesn't feel good. Maybe you work really hard for something and it doesn't work out the way you want it to. We fail in a lot of things, right? We fail in relationships. We fail in careers. We fail getting up on time to go to the gym. We fail in our diet, right? We're trying to eat better food or less food or the right food, stuff like that. We fail through that. We're faced with failure a lot in our lives. And a big thing of it is how we react to it and use the power of that failure to help us to be successful. When it's something like relationships, I mean, it can be heartbreaking, right? It can be heartbreaking. And while it sometimes might not be considered a failure, it still is in a way, right? Because you want every relationship to work out the best that it can and be happy and be in love or whatever it may be, and it doesn't work out that way, right? School, maybe we're studying really hard and everything like that, but we still don't get the grades, the marks that we're looking for, something like that. And everybody fails. Everybody fails. On KingofMonkok.com, I wrote about like Michael Jordan. You know, he's one of, if not the greatest basketball player to ever play basketball. And he shot at around 50%, like 40 something percent, high 40, 49 something. That meant that every other shot didn't go in, right? But did he stop shooting? No. You keep going. You keep going. You got to have faith in what you're doing, okay? So everybody fails, and we fail a lot, okay? So one of the things that we learn a lot from failing is we learn once we start to reflect. The first thing we ask ourselves when we fail is, why did I fail? What did I do that put me in this situation to where I wasn't successful this time? Okay? Because that's a big thing, this time, right? We fail, we go back at it. If it's something worth going after, we keep going after it, right? So through reflection, right? And if you check out KingofMonkok.com, I talk about keeping a journal, the gateway drug to keeping a journal. You should check it out. We need that reflection. Right? I'm always talking about, reflecting, and that's because that's how we learn. We learn through reflection, but reflecting on our failures helps us to see what road we went down and where we made the wrong turn or where we could have turned to maybe had a more positive outcome. Okay? So that's really the first thing we need to do. We need to reflect. We need to look at our failure, no matter how big or how small it was, and what can we do next? When we come back at it, let's try it again. I'm in love with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and in Jiu-Jitsu, it's all about failure. You learn so much through that failure. Okay, but you also have to reflect on it. You also have to, afterwards, after the round or whatever, or after that whole session, look back and see what mistakes you did. I video my rounds so that I can go back and look at it and see what I should have done. I'm also looking at what I did right, because that's also part of the failure, right? You did something right. It wasn't all totally wrong, right? And it goes with that for other things as well. Okay, so in Jiu-Jitsu, we learn through failing so much because we're always failing. We're always tapping out. Always tapping out. Anyone who does Jiu-Jitsu or anyone who wants to do it, you got to know your ego, you put it away, because you're always going to fail, and fail epically, and fail a lot. Okay, but that's also with life, right? We're not just everything we do, we're very successful at it, right? We're not. So what we need to do is we need to reflect on it. We need to reflect. We need to go back and rewrite our wrongs in a way, right? When we come back a second time, okay, don't do this. Go down that road. Don't go down that. We know going down that road equals failure again. We go down this road. See what happens. This road also we might be met with failure as well. But maybe we're a little bit further down our journey. Maybe we've hopefully taken what we have learned through our past failure and we've made it and used it to help us go further down the road. Maybe further down the road, we're met with failure again. We see this a lot when we do business, right? I've opened several businesses, and so far none have really worked out the way that I've wanted them to, but I've learned so much from their failure, from that business not working out, that endeavor, that venture, it didn't work out, but I learned so much, right? And then I'm gonna come back at it, knowing what I did wrong this time, that time, and it gets me further down the road, right? And that also equals happiness, and you kind of feel good too, especially even when you fail and you get back up and you try it again, right? That helps to build your confidence. That helps to build you to be stronger as a person because you're persevering, right? You're going after it again. Like, you can't hold me down. You can't stop me type mentality. And that's why we see these ultra successful people, why they are ultra successful. Sorry, I got to get that word out. Why they're ultra successful, because they kept going back at it after they got knocked down. All right, we see that a lot in athletes, right? It's so hard to be a professional athlete. Such a small number of people are chosen to be professional athletes. And we could talk about any sport, right? And it's because they failed and they went back at it harder. So that's the next thing we have to do after we're met with failure. We reflect on it, find out what went wrong, and we come back at it, and then we come back at it stronger, right? And we keep going, and that's where it comes up with that. That's why you always hear people talk about never give up, right? Because you're going to fail, and if you let a failure keep you down for good, then you can only be upset with yourself. You can't be upset with the circumstances or because this isn't fair, life isn't fair. It's because you didn't get back up and keep going after it. You may never succeed at it, but that's okay. As long as you're going after something that's positive, something that's helping you grow and helping you be a better person, take that failure on the chin and keep going after it, okay? Because we see through the compounding effect that that's what brings success, right? The more we put more into it, it keeps compounding. That success keeps coming. When I think about my language learning journey, second language learning journey, Cantonese, if I had given up every time somebody laughs at the way my Cantonese sounds, even to today, I would never have learned very much. I would have stopped learning because it's somewhat of a failure in a way. Especially when you put in a bunch of time, when you're sitting at home, when you could be out having fun and you're sitting there looking through Cantonese dictionaries and writing down words and trying to do things to remember words and how to say things, and then going out on the street and using it and people laugh in your face. It's amazing. It's great because that's what makes you stronger. That failure, okay? And I talk about it one time in my book. It's going to be coming out soon. Is for Cantonese, I used to sit at the front of a minibus. There's lots of minibuses in Hong Kong, and you yell out to the driver where you want to get off. And I had an experience where I yelled out to the driver, and he didn't understand what I was saying. And the minibus holds 16 people, and kind of people started kind of snickering and saying stuff because the driver's saying something like, I don't know what you're saying, you know. And so I started to sit at the very front of the minibus so I could essentially whisper in the bus driver's ear. But then I said to myself, you know, that's not helping me. So I made myself sit all the way in the back of the minibus. It's not that big, but still holds 16 people. And I started sitting in the back of the minibus so that I had to yell through the minibus. And so the first time I did that, I sat in the back of that minibus. And when I got to near where I wanted to get off, and I yelled at the driver, why? Sige, yellow. And he kind of got to the stoplight and he turned back and he said to me, you know, you don't have to yell. You're the only one in the minibus. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I was empowered. I sat in the back because I got over that failure of being laughed at by 16 people that I didn't know. And I made myself do it. And then forever on after that, every time in the minibus, now it's not a big deal because I've been, you know, living in Hong Kong for so long. I sit in the back of that minibus and I yell through the bus. And I always think about that first time, you know, and that's what it's about. We got to go after it. So, the power of learning through failure. We all need it. We all got to keep going. Get back up no matter what you fail at. No matter what you fail at. Get back up. Go back at it. Reflect on it. Learn from what you did wrong. Make a new strategy, a new game plan, a new map to that success, and go after it again. All right? King of Mongkok, KOMK. Thanks for checking it out. Check out kingofmongkok.com. Let's keep growing together. Peace.